Guru brothers and sisters, welcome to Beyond the Boundaries. My name is Alex Morley. Today is October 6, 2019. Welcome to Beyond the Boundaries. Beyond the Boundaries is the show where we bring you news from the African nation and from the international socialist movement. Uh, Brothers and sisters, my name is Alex Morley. I'm the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party Bahamas, and I also head up the front for the African Socialist International for the Caribbean and the South American region. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to get straight into reports this week from Beyond the Boundaries. Brothers and sisters, the Africans United Coalition, which is an association of the African-centered organizations in the Bahamas, as the EABIC, the African People's Socialist Party, the Nyabingi, the Coptic Church of the Black Messiah. Uh, there's the Rastafarians, the host of Rastafari, different other individuals and community organizations. But we right now we are launching our Take It to the People campaign. It's as our way to aid in the relief process of to help the persons who have been affected by the recent Hurricane Dorian. So what we have done, brothers and sisters, the Take It to the People campaign is has three purposes. We want to provide relief, that's food and supplies, two persons who are within the shelters. Number two, bring entertainment, recreation, just chill, socialize. And number three, to provide a space for different people in the community to be a part, to be able to participate in the relief process. But we held a movie night last night, August 5th, sorry, October 5th, at the Calvary Baptist Church in Centerville, off Collins Avenue. We showed the movie I Love You Anne. Let me first say thank you to Pastor Junior. There were about 60 persons. 60 persons, I believe, are now at the shelter. In terms of the people who came out, and that number has reduced. It was about 90 to 80, and I think it's about 60. Um, about we set up chairs right outside the churchyard. There's a empty parking lot space besides the church. That's where we set the chairs up, and we had food. And I want to say thank you to the chef who works with Beyond the Boundaries, and who works with us in the other projects that we've done. Thank you for the chef who came through for us in regards to the for the food. But we had about 30 persons who actually came out and sat down, brothers and sisters, young kids, men and women. They loved the movie. We had technical difficulties, no doubt. We had technical difficulties, but I would say that persons seemed to enjoy the movie. I Love You, Anne. It's a very popular movie. Laughter, despite the technical difficulties, there was a lot of laughter. Uh, so I want to say thank you to Pastor Junior and the whole church at the uh, at the Calvary Baptist Church. Thank you for allowing us to share that evening with you. I want to say thank you to all of the brothers in African United Coalition, especially the Nyabingi. The Nyabingi, which is the base, holds meetings for the host of Rastafari coalition. But I want to say respect out to Uhuru, to Elder Charlie, Ras Elder Charlie, Country, Field Marshal, Peter, Marco, Empress Philippa and Elutra, Priest Blyden, and all the brothers in the host of Rastafari. But that's all of the Ras elders, Charlie, Country, Field Marshal, Peter, Marco. I really appreciate the support from the Nyabingi order. Uh, Special thanks to the Coptic Church Pastor Uncle for his support in this event that we were trying to carry out. Brothers and sisters, stay tuned. The next event is the community movie night, which is in the early part of November, which the Africans United Coalition is hosting at another shelter. So stay tuned for information about that. But I just want to say the movie night was successful. The food finish, and I believe it was successful. The food finish, and persons participated in it, and I think the other one will even be better. But thank you, Uhuru, to the host of Rastafari, and all of the brothers and sisters that I've mentioned. Brothers and sisters, the next story is from the burningspear.com. It says, aside from the incumbent refusing to face the people by missing more than half of the community forums during the primary election, here's 5 ways the incumbent has sold out the interests of the black community and working people in this city in just 4 years. Number 5, the incumbent voted to raise your water bills. The incumbent voted to approve a plan earlier this year that increases the average St. Pete's resident's monthly bill by $11.02, an increase of 11.5% to pay for repairs to the sewage system. The people of St. Pete should not have to pay for crimes committed by a crooked city government. It was the Kreisman administration who shut down a sewage plant in 2015 to make way for new condos, and then dumped over a billion gallons of sewage onto the black community and Tampa Bay at large. Kreisman and the developers should have to pay to fix the sewage pipes, not the people who suffered as a result of their corrupt behavior. Number 4, demolish affordable housing. In February of this year, the incumbent voted in favor of demolishing an affordable housing complex near Mirror Lake, reducing people's homes to rubble to make room for yet another high-rise condo. She claims to be a champion for affordable housing, but her voting record, along with her failure to stop the eviction of black residents from Jordan Park in District 7, proves that she is nothing more than a pawn of the big developers. Number 3, she called for more police in the schools and on the streets. The incumbent's first term was won by advocating for intensified police containment of the black community. Through the government-initiated Not My Son campaign, she made it abundantly clear that she is pro-police and anti-black community, blaming the black community for conditions imposed by the city government, most times in the form of the police. Despite knowing how the police function in the black community and the danger that police occupation poses on black people, including young black teens like Mike Brown, Tyrone Lewis, Markel McCullough, and Jason Dawson, the incumbent joined Kreisman in demanding more money for cops to be put in the streets and on school campuses. Our schools are not supposed to be mini prisons. Our children should not fear going to school and feel the weight of police intimidation. The incumbent is fighting to turn our schools and the entire black community into a war zone. When faced with demands by the people for reparations and economic development to the black community, genuine affordable housing, clean environment solutions, etc., these same politicians always say they don't know where the money will come from to do these things. However, when it comes to funding more police to occupy the black community, there always seems to be enough cash on hand. Number 2, drug dealers and murderers. In referencing the black community, this sounds something like Donald Trump would say. However, these are actually the words the incumbent used to describe the black community during a campaign presentation before a local union. We all have to keep our neighborhoods safe. We have to continue to work together. Call in the tips. Work with the police. Because this is our community. This is our city. Not the drug dealers. Not the murderers. We know the police are used as a tool in the process of gentrifying the black community. Black people are black people are harassed, brutalized, and even murdered on a daily basis by the police, and the government continues to dump money into intensifying the police occupation of the black community. This type of police presence isn't seen in the white community, despite the fact that the vast majority of drug users and sellers are white. The incumbent is clearly a police prone who slanders the black community with offensive remarks, similar to those of Hillary Clinton when referring to black men as super predators. And the number one reason, big money politics. During her campaign for re-election, the incumbent accepted massive campaign contributions from shady real estate developers who are overrunning St. Pete with high rises and gentrifying the black community. She took money from Carl Nurse, former District 6 city councilman who engineered the plan to make the South Side white. She took she got thousands from luxury condo real estate firms in Panama City and Orlando. She even accepted a $250 check from Charles Prather, a real estate developer in Tampa who rents houses, office spaces to ICE, Trump's thugs at the border who are separating Mexican children from their families. Brothers and sisters, I would ask you to go on theburningspear.com and read the reasons, the 5 reasons we shouldn't be, the people should be rejecting this incumbent. Remember, when we started off Beyond the Boundaries, we were talking about Comrade Akili and the struggle that she's involved in, the journey she's involved in. She's a member of the African People's Socialist Party, and she's uh, taking part in the elections to be a councilwoman in a councilman down in St. Pete, and that the next rounds of those elections are coming up at the end of November. So, brothers and sisters, I want you to stay tuned for that. Comrade Akili, don't forget that she's out there struggling to change. She's a young comrade, and she's struggling to be a part of this new world that we're trying to build. Take a leadership position in this new world that we're trying to build. Brothers and sisters, I would ask you to go on counterpunch.org. Counterpunch.org. The third story report is from Evo Morales. Some President Evo Morales. Sometimes we forget about President Morales, and we only focus on Venezuela and Hugo Chavez and the Chavistas and the whole movement down in Venezuela. But brothers and sisters, we can't forget about Bolivia. Those were two movements that kind of arose in South America, almost within the same time, within the same period. But definitely, Evo Morales, he's a cocoa. He came a president who came from the cocoa farmers union in Bolivia, and he rose up to be the president of that country. So here it was a struggle from the indigenous people who were trying to win control over their resources, and that movement would have elevated him to the president of that country. But just like Hugo Chavez, they represent a new world a new movement in a new world that we are trying to build, anti-capitalist, a socialist world. But brothers and sisters, go on counterpunch.org and check out President Morales's speech. I'm just going to read some of it. Is The Root Problem is the Capitalist System. That's the title of it, by Evo Morales. Text of the Bolivarian President Evo Morales speech to the United Nations General Assembly, September 24, 2019. Brother President of the United Nations General Assembly, Tijana Mohammed Bandi, Brother Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, sisters and brothers, presidents, chancellors, and delegates, sisters and brothers of the international organizations, and all the peoples of the world, once again, we meet in the most important multilateral organization of humanity to reflect and analyze collectively on the global problems that concerns the peoples of the world. We note with concern the deterioration of the multilateral system, product of unilateral measures promoted by some states which have decided to ignore the commitments, good faith, and global structures built for healthy coexistence between states within the framework of the international law and the basic principles of the Charter of the United Nations. We meet in this forum to discuss and find solutions to the serious threats facing humanity and life on the planet. The threat to Mother Earth. Our house, Mother Earth, is our only home and it is irreplaceable. It increasingly suffers more fires, more floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, droughts, and other catastrophes. Each year is hotter than the previous one. The thaws are greater. The level of the ocean grows. Every day we suffer the disappearance of species, soil erosion, desertification, and deforestation. Sisters and brothers, we are warned that if we follow this course of action, by the year 2100, we will reach an increase of 3 degrees Celsius. That will imply massive and devastating changes. The consequences of climate change will condemn, according to data from our organization, the United Nations, millions of people to poverty, hunger, no potable water, losing their homes, forced displacement, more refugee crises, and new armed conflicts. Sisters and brothers, in recent weeks, we have been surprised by the forest fires that have unleashed in different parts of the planet, in the Amazon, in Oceania, and Africa, affecting flora, fauna, and biodiversity. Another part of it, it speaks about military spending and world poverty. Sisters and brothers and peoples of the world, the arms race, military spending, technology at the service of debt, and the unscrupulous arms trade have increased. The financial system remains undemocratic, unequitable, and unstable, which privileges tax havens and the banking secrecy that subjects weak countries to accept conditions that perpetuate their dependence. We note with sadness that the great we sorry inequality, hunger, poverty, the migration crisis, epidemic diseases, unemployment are not just local problems, they are global problems. I would ask people to go on, because of time, I can't read the whole speech, but it's a good speech. It's our President Evo Morales. The name of the speech is the root problem is capitalist system. The root problem is the capitalist system. And brothers and sisters, he covers a lot in the speech. He talks about climate change. He talks about just the present contradictions that we face with capitalism right now. But just I want to take this moment to say something about an observation that I want to say about climate change. And I think that this movement for climate change, and I think that this is something that the president is trying to do. President Evo Morales, he is trying to come from the climate. He's coming at the climate change situation from his people's point of view. And I think that is important because remember, I spoke about the cocoa farmers and that resource in Bolivia and them wanting to take power over that, the indigenous people who would have been using that resource traditionally in their country even before Europeans would have come up with other reasons for using that resource. But that product was something that the indigenous people have been using as food and in many other ways uh, 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 for many years. So they come. These are people who come at the climate exchange from their perspective in terms of the resources being used in the right way, the environment being used, being dealt with in the proper way to bring balance between human beings and the environment. But I think that that's how he is approaching it is how African people all around the world all around the world need to be approaching it. I think that African people are coming to this climate change struggle using the weapons of Europeans of and I want to say I don't want to be careful with what I'm saying. We support the struggle for climate change and human beings taking initiatives to bring balance between the environment and human beings to bring that in a more in bring that in a more bring harmony to that relationship. We are in support of that. But I would say, brothers and sisters, let me say this. We need to come at this from our own angle, right? In the Bahamas, the parliament just celebrated 200 and something years of parliamentary democracy. And they started that celebration. The date that they started that celebration is from 1790 to now. 1790 to now, that we have had these hundreds of years of parliamentary democracy. Now, brothers and sisters, that would mean, and this is not a strike against the people who would have done this. I'm just trying to have a discussion here. That would have mean that that a black country, a majority black country, would be starting their parliamentary democracy, their politics, right? Their organized politics at a time when 1790, most all black people, that would have been the time of slavery, and the Europeans would have just started to think about the colonialization project where they would colonize Africa and not move the inhabitants, the Africans, to another side of the world. But here it is, you have Africans who are in the Bahamas, who we have a majority government, right? Majority black government, and we are celebrating. We are afraid to start our history from when the Africans, when all people would have had a certain sense of political equality. We are scared to do that because we don't want to offend the white people, who are in this country, who are the minority. And brothers and sisters, it's the same thing in my estimation with the climate change. Uh, how can we start if it is that in this climate change struggle they are saying that this capitalist machine, in terms of it eroding and deteriorating the environment and exploiting resources and the ground and just all the national joy, this capitalist machine didn't start 50 years ago, brothers and sisters, this in disrespecting the environment. For African people, this capitalist machine, in terms of ripping up Africa and its resources and taking African people from one part of the world to the next, the capitalist machine would have started, would have gone out of control in slavery and colonialization. that would be the starting point for when the capitalist machine would have uh, started to go against the people, when the environment would start to be really eroded. That's it is at that stage when companies like Unilever were taking their grip in Africa, and eroding trees, and enslaving peoples, and wars were being started. This you would have to, you we couldn't, as African people, we can't come to this climate change struggle 50 years with 50 years of knowledge and saying we want the companies who have been exploiting the environment, taking advantage of the environment in the last 50 years. We have an issue with them. It wouldn't be that. We couldn't start 50 years. As African people, when we come to this climate change struggle, our history in terms of the capitalist machine, not respecting the environment, and exploiting resources in African people, would start from slavery and colonialization. So when Europeans are on this side, the Europeans are saying Mother Nature or Mother Earth. African people, we gotta say Mama Africa, Mama Africa. You see, Mother Africa. That's what we gotta be saying. Those two things are, it seems, they may be different, but how the Europeans see it is how they see it, and how they see it, some of that is neoliberalism, and how they see it too. You see, but we want to unite with their climate change struggle and expand that struggle. So the world, so the movement, the world moves forward in the better in a better way. So brothers and sisters, for African people, we got to come to this fight with our own historical sword. We have our own history. And in our own history, we come to it with slavery, not only with slavery and colonialism, but the time before the Europeans, the coming of the Europeans, how the relationship with African people in their environment, and how that relationship was retarded and halted, and mutilated, and made to be a parasitic and altered with the coming of the Europeans, and the parasitic relationship would have come out of that. But that's for us. We gotta come to this battle with our history, and if we come to this battle with our history, then we know we can't be saying Mother Earth. We gotta be saying Mother Africa, Mama Africa, and we gotta be saying reparations. You see, they could the Europeans could say climate change. When we join with them, we say reparations, because we even taking it deeper back, We don't want to start the time when they start. We got to start the real time, not 50 years ago, but hundreds of years ago, when the capitalist machine really started exploiting people, and taking humanity off course. So that's what I want to say, brothers and sisters, and that's what I think with President Evo Morales is doing with the speech that he's trying to give, trying to speak from the black and brown people's perspective on climate change. That's what I wanted to say. Brothers and sisters, from the art and culture world, time running up on me. From the art and culture world, I want to say big up, respect out there to all the brothers and sisters in the battle rap world who are getting mainstream recognition. You've gotten some mainstream recognition in the past, but more is good. So congratulations, big up to that. Last week I spoke a little bit about the dancehall, the clash culture. You know who I didn't mention in the the sound clash culture? Tony Mataron. And I think you have to mention Tony Mataron in terms of the latest, those DJs in the 20 foot in the 90s, the late 90s, and the 2000s. He's definitely somebody who would have been a trailblazer. We could talk about Jamaica and Jamaican people and their creativity another time, brothers and sisters. Sports world, brothers and sisters. Sports, Nia Houston from the X Games. That's Africa. I don't care what nobody say. Nia Houston, Niger Houston, the brother from the X Games. You know, that's Africa. Uh, there's a story on LabourStar.org, brothers and sisters, but women's soccer team and how they are tackling discrimination. Go on LabourStar.org and check out the Colombian women's soccer team and how they are tackling discrimination in soccer. Brothers and sisters, the disparity between what women make in sports. Let's take, for example, the WNBA and the fact that they got to go to Europe, like Eastern European countries who were once socialist countries too, and they don't, those countries don't even have as much money as the US, half as 10% of the money that the US economy has, but those countries are able to pay them more than the US country. There's a great disparity in world sports in women. There's a great disparity in women, gender equality in women in economics worldwide, and we got to eradicate that. Socialism, brothers and sisters, socialism, you know, that's one of the things that we want to create, where whatever you bring, what you put in is what you get. What you put in is what you get. Real equality straight across the board, no matter gender, nationality, none of that. What you put in is what you get. Brothers and sisters, for community announcement, I see there's the 6th region diaspora caucus is having a conference on 21st century Pan-Africanism, and that's happening in Charleston, South Carolina, at the International Longman Shores Association downtown Charleston, South Carolina. That's happening October 25th to the 26th. So watch out for that, brothers and sisters. For information, go on srdcinternational.org. 6th region diaspora caucus, the 21st century, discussing 21st century Pan-Africanism. Last thing, recently there was a 23rd annual Black Workers Conference of the Scottish Trade Union Congress. They held a rally in Clyde Bank to debate the major issues affecting black workers in the labor market, discuss strategies, talk about fascism and anti-Muslim prejudice. Check out our blackagenda.com, brothers and sisters. Big up to those to the Black Workers Conference of the Scottish Trade Union workers. Check out Black Agenda, brothers and sisters. There's a event coming up for Brother Bruce Dixon at the end of this month, in memory of him, at the People's Forum. So, brothers and sisters, thank you very much for being on Beyond the Boundaries with Alex Morley. I'm going to be here next week, Sunday at 1 p.m. Thank you for being on Beyond the Boundaries with Alex Morley, where we bring you news from the African nation and from the international socialist movement. Uhuru to all of the brothers and sisters in the African People's Socialist Party. Uhuru, one Africa, one nation. Uhuru.